Before we get started with today's video, everybody say hello to the girls. Hello girls, all around the room. Hello ladies. They're all friendly. They're all nice. This is my second time recording this video, and if you watched yesterday's video, you know why. So I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna try and tell it again. I'm a little bit shooketh, as I said in yesterday's video. If you didn't watch yesterday's video, you're probably missing out. You're probably missing some stuff as a precursor to this video. So stop, go back and watch yesterday's video. I have it linked down below, and then start with today's video. So one of the questions that I get asked most in my life, usually on panels, Q&As, this and that, is there any of your dolls that you feel like are haunted? Is there any object that you own and all the antique stuff that you have that you feel like is haunted or creepy? And the answer was always no. It was always no. Until I bought one doll that I had for maybe a little bit less than a year, because this stuff started happening around this time last year. One doll, one item in my life that I just couldn't keep, that I just couldn't deal with, and the following story is about that doll. And I share this story with you guys with so much hesitation. It freaks me out to think about it. It freaks me out to talk about it. I don't talk about it. As a matter of fact, months ago, after I did the room tour, once I set up this room in the way that it is now, I literally had prepared and avoided a whole Q&A, avoided uploading a whole Q&A. I did all the work, and I was so stunted by this question because I didn't know if I wanted to talk about it or not, if I wanted to get into it. I still had the doll at that time. And so I just burnt the whole video, and I never did it. I never did that Q&A. I'm the queen of not doing stuff, but a lot of times that's because there's a little creepy, crazy story in there under all the hidden layers. I'm not just, I am a total lazy procrastinator, but sometimes there's reasons for the laziness and for the procrastination. And that time, there was one. Hop in your time traveling DeLorean, travel with me to a far, far beyond time of last year. So you guys know Uncommon Objects is my life mecca. It's my favorite place on earth, and I've recently been telling you guys about this place. It's my favorite store. It's the greatest antique store to ever exist. It's in Austin. I almost said it's on South Congress. They're literally having to move next week. It's a whole depressing thing. I'm sure there will be a vlog about it, so stay tuned. It's my favorite place to go. I've been buying stuff for years from there. As you guys can see, I've got a lot of objects in this room. If you're brand new here, I got a lot of stuff. It's all very old, very crispy, and probably at least 80% of it is stuff I've collected over the years from Uncommon Objects. In all of that time, I've never gotten anything. Have I gotten stuff that I think is a little bit haunted? Maybe. If you guys have been here for a long time, it's not in this room. It used to be my old filming room, and I think I talked about it briefly. It is a case that's kind of like that. You guys see that glass case that's back there? Just a little brief side story, in case you haven't. Just a little warm-up story. One of the first antique things I bought for myself, I think it was from like 1876, and it is a glass case, and inside the glass case there is paper flowers. It's almost like a diorama of sorts. It's very lovely. But always, any house I've moved it to, it's been in about 4 different houses with me through all the years I've had it. Any wall I hang it on, even if it's sitting on the ground, like sometimes during periods of time when I've been moving or whatever, it's not even hanging on the wall. Every great once in a while, you will hear a tapping noise on the inside of the glass. Tap, tap, tap. Sounds like somebody's tapping in there. Somebody's living in there. So there are things, and you guys have asked me before, like, do you think some of the paranormal stuff you experience is tied to these objects? Perhaps. But I will just say I come with the notion of, like, I love these things. All these things I own, they are my life's treasures. I treat them with reverence. I treat them with respect. They have special places to be, special places to sit. And the ladies up there, they got a lot of friends, okay? They're having a party, they're having a great time. I kind of feel that even if you get something with something attached to it, I think as long as you treat people's items with the same respect that they treated them while they were alive. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like maybe there's a little bit of a buffer there. I could be wrong. These are just like my life experiences as I've had them. That's my little intro, 6-minute long intro. So I have been buying stuff from this one booth at Uncommon Objects forever because largely that store is mostly divided in by the different sellers, resellers at the store. And a lot of times you will get people, and these people are like American pickers. They get stuff from all over. They go to estate sales. They get it from out of the country, all over the world. They're picking this stuff up on various trips that they go to, whatever. Most of the time, people will have like certain interests who collect this kind of stuff. Like you can see, like I heavily am into dolls. You know, I like a lot of stuff, but dolls is kind of like my main jam. And so you will get people that have, you know, like you'll get people, they have like a whole modern section in the store now. That's not really my taste. You know, it's like furniture from the 50s to the 70s. Anyway, there's this one booth that I have been shopping at for years. It used to be right when you walk in to the doors of Uncommon Objects. They have a whole lot of cool stuff. They have a lot of Freemason stuff, a lot of Oddfellows stuff, great looking stuff. Very rarely do they have dolls. But there was this thing, and I used to be able to go to Uncommon Objects like literally 2 to 3 times a month. I was going to Austin. Now, unfortunately, my trips are few and far in between. At the time, like last July, last August, I had been going to Uncommon quite frequently. And there on the very top, so like, you know, imagine like probably like at the ceiling, because Uncommon, it's a magical place. I can't get over it. They have stuff hanging from the ceiling, stuff high, stuff low. Anytime I bring somebody new into the store, I'm like, you gotta look high, you gotta look low, you gotta look everywhere in between. You never know where you're gonna find something really swift. So at the top shelf in this booth, there was a doll. And it was not just any doll, because if you look at most of my dolls, you know what, I'll grab this head for reference. How about that? Let's grab a head. They are this material, which is, can you hear me from over here, way over here in no man's land? Anyway, most of the dolls in my collection, they're from the same era, you know, late 1800s, early 1900s, and my favorite kind of doll to collect is composition dolls. And they're made out of like a paper sort of material, and so those are the ones that you get that look very, I think it's called crazing, when they get this like very crackled look. So this is 90% of the dolls that I own. This doll was not like that, okay? This doll was clearly handmade. It was fabric, and it was enormous. It was literally the size of a human toddler, at least like 3.5, 4 feet tall. And it had a stand, but it had this hunky, lurchy body positioning. I have no pictures of this doll. I've refused to keep any pictures, any video clips, anything of this doll whatsoever. Don't want it in my life. So I'm just gonna have to describe it to you. I don't even want to show you guys a picture of this doll. I'm hesitant to tell this story. This doll is made of fabric, size of a toddler, has a stand because it's a little lurchy, it's a little leany, it's kind of got its head almost positioned in a downward position, arms which dangle and lumber, little feet, little legs. The legs were kind of bendy at the bottom. Like obviously without the stand, the doll should not be able to stand on its own. So there you have it. And I had been tempted to get this thing a million times. Like it had been there for months. I constantly saw it and I was like, oh, I really want it. And let me tell you guys, my original intention, if you guys remember my last filming room, I had that piece of furniture that was always behind me. I had that painting of that gorgeous ghost baby. I had a bunch of other stuff, and I always had these grand plans where I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna redecorate. I'm gonna move stuff around. I'm gonna add extra creepy stuff. I'm gonna make it look different. It's gonna be great. And I never get around to it. because I'm just so busy. I can't even get everything done that I need to get done, much less things I want to get done just for fun. And I will just admit to you guys, I like the spookiness, okay? I kind of like to be the queen of the creepy things. And so I was like, ooh, I'm gonna get this doll. It's gonna be a little like, yeah, like people are gonna see in the background and be like, oh, what's that thing? And then I was just like, ooh, it's like, do you know what I'm saying? Like part of that kind of thing appeals to me. But there was always something inside of myself that was like, don't buy that doll. And I would constantly get people to take it down so I could look at it closer. And everyone's reaction when they would touch it, when they would look at it, when they would handle it was like, ugh, like, you know, and these are people that see me on a regular basis. They know I'm buying all the crispy, creepy dolls and I've got them all. But this was definitely the creepiest one of all time. So let's further describe the doll so that you can imagine it for yourself. This doll was made with care and attention to detail. It was incredibly realistic. It's not like you could mistake it for an actual and be like, oh, is that a human baby? It wasn't like that. Do you know what I'm saying? But it had hair. It had like little scripts and straps of leather that were cut to make like bangs and hair. It had eyelashes. It had fingernails. I've never seen another doll with fingernails. And I'm not talking about like painted on fingernails. Like I'm talking like somebody had taken scraps of something and had fabricated fingernails, and they had a texture and a look to them, and they were on the hands, fully clothed, had on like a little two-piece set. It was like a shirt. It was almost like a gingham shirt and overalls. Like shorts, overall shorts though. A watch, a little perfectly sized watch. Had to be like an actual human child's watch. I mean, just details. Details that you would not think would be possible with a fabric doll. So literally I had been for months like back and forth like, oh, am I gonna buy this doll? Am I not? And every single time I had always been like, okay, it's not a good idea to get this doll. I'm gonna put it back. I'm not gonna get it, whatever. So finally, and this I should have taken as the ultimate warning. Seriously, what is wrong with me? Like looking back to this day, it's crystal clear that I feel like life was attempting to intervene and then I just circumnavigated like a big dumb idiot. Last year on my birthday, we go to Austin. I generally go to Uncommon every year for my birthday because it's my favorite place on earth. So I go there, once again, have them get the doll down. And I do this at Uncommon a lot because I'll literally walk around for hours, or sometimes I'll start shopping at Uncommon and then I'll meander down the street and then I'll come back and like decide out of all the items I've selected that I like for that day, which ones I'm actually gonna buy and which ones I may wait on. So had gotten the doll down, and this is the craziest thing, is I literally named her Robertina. And if you guys Google, if you want some more creepiness, if the past 2 days of my creepiness has not been enough creepiness for you, if you need a little bit more creepiness, just Google Robert the doll. It's a whole thing in Key West. It's one of my favorite paranormal stories of all time. So I named her Robertina because once again, it was like a cloth doll. It was very, very creepy. So Robertina, pulled Robertina down, had her selected for the day, literally became horribly ill in the middle of the day on my birthday, and I was down for the count, you guys. I was out all day, like for hours. I just went into the back of the car that we drove that day, laid out on the back seat, and I was out scout. No reviving me until like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock that night. I started to feel better. We were able to eat dinner, everything else. But needless to say, I had Robertina down. I was going to buy her. I got super sick and I did not go back and get her that day. You would think I would have taken that as a strong enough clue to be like, maybe don't buy that doll. But lo and behold, next time I went to Uncommon, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get this doll. It's like it was something that called to me, which is so stupid that I did this, because I don't think that I'm like psychic. I don't think that I'm like, I don't think I have any special powers, but I will just say sometimes when I am antiquing or I am shopping, I will pick up an object and immediately I will have a thought or I will have a feeling about it, and I'll be like, oh yeah, this is great, I feel great, this is great, I'm having a great time, let's bring it home. Or I will get a weird feeling about it, and 9 times out of 10, if I get this like weird feeling, I just don't buy it. But for some reason, I literally thought about this doll all the time. And so I had kind of made up the resolution that I felt like if she had sold and I had not got her, I would have forever felt like I was missing out on something. So the next trip that I took after my birthday, I went to Uncommon, she was still there, and I bought her and I took her home. No big deal, right? You'd think no big deal, all right, you bought a doll, great. So we get it home that night and I just set it down in the living room and I didn't, whatever, go to bed. I know saying this, like, so now we get into the touchy-feely segment, okay? So bring this doll home, and I will just say right off the bat, it felt intrusive. And this could just be because it was a little bit spooky looking. But it's like when you would walk into the living room, I would pass from like the bedroom to the living room to the kitchen to get a drink or a snacky snack or whatever in the middle of the night. And it just caught you off guard and it gave you a weird feeling. Because, I mean, first of all, like some of this might just be because it was spooky. You would walk past the living room and there would be like this thing, this shadow of this human-sized thing. So it ends up raining that night, and it was like not anything like the hurricane we just had. You know, it's just rain. It was rain. It was a little rainstorm. No big deal. I had my car parked outside, and I've never heard of this happening. I've never heard of this happening. This is not an old car. This is not, and it's actually like a convertible. I don't talk about it. I'm not on YouTube to flex. You know what I mean? So it's a convertible, not that old. Nice car. No reason that this should happen. It was parked outside all the time. Never had any problems with it. Definitely, it was probably 2 years old at the time. So, I mean, it's not brand new, but it's not ancient. And I guess there's like a seam or there's some kind of like functionality to allow drainage off the top of like the convertible top and out of the cabin and the trunk. It still just blows my mind as to how and why anyone would ever build a car like this where it could possibly drain inside the car. So what happened is a leaf, I guess, flew on the car that night, blocked off the drainage in some way, and my car got flooded with like, I don't know, 2 inches of standing water inside the car. Like just the most, like when I hauled it up to the dealership, they were just like, what? It's just such a freaky, can it be coincidental? Totally. Such a freaky thing though. Such a freaky, rare moment, you know? Then I started to like get into arguments with people that I don't normally argue with. It was just like all of a sudden I brought this thing home and it felt like it was just a amount of negativity in my life. And like I would walk around the doll and I would not get good feelings. It would feel like cold, creepy, just kind of make your skin like, ugh, like just give you heebie-jeebies, goosebumps. Not a good feeling. Once again, family, friends, people on planet Earth just all had the same like, ugh, like kind of reaction, you know? And I felt like literally ever since I brought that doll into my life, it's just been like crazy negative things. I feel like my mood has just been like not good. I'm sure you guys can tell. Like I feel like definitely the past year has just been a total funk, not a good place. And I've never had another object that I brought home into my life that immediately I regretted it. Like literally as soon as I brought that doll into the house, I regretted it. And it was like you did not just make a smart choice. That's the kind of feeling that I was getting. So maybe like 2 days later, I called up to Uncommon. I called one of my friends who used to work there. He doesn't work there anymore. So I haven't spoken to him in a long time. And I told him, and I was like, look, you know, I've shopped there for many years. I bought all this stuff. I've never had a feeling about this. I've never had something where I'm like, I should take this back. you know, and I was talking to him about it. And then at that point, you guys, I was at a total, like, I felt like a kind of catch-22 because I was like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know, like, do I keep it? Like, do I not pass this on? Do I not give it back? Who's gonna buy it once I give it back? What's gonna happen? Would it make things worse? Is it better to just keep it? And so he was kind of like giving me some tips, and he's like, you know, maybe get it out of your house. Maybe put it in a garage, put it somewhere else, yada yada. I mean, I was just kind of scared about who was gonna get this doll and what was gonna happen after that point. And like, I guess like sometimes when you react in fear, you're not necessarily making the most logical sounding choices. But at the time I had the storage units, which just flooded, which is so crazy because she probably would have gotten destroyed had I still had her when the hurricane just hit and had she been in those storage units. So anyway, that was my great plan. While I was like, what am I gonna do with this doll? I'm gonna take it to the storage unit. So I just, out of sight, out of mind. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I put her in the storage unit, and he was saying like, maybe like place a circle of salt, like whatever you do, just treat it respectfully. Like don't, you know, they always say that, like you don't throw it away, you don't light it on fire, you don't dispose of it. You're supposed to treat it in a respectful manner, but maybe just distance yourself from it. And I never had another item, another object in my life that kind of just always like called to me. Do you know what I'm saying? I've got a lot of stuff in this room. I've got a lot of stuff everywhere in this house. I've never had another one of these objects that calls to me in this way. I mean, I have other items which are favorites, which I think about certainly, but I don't have anything that I feel like tethered to or like such strong, like it's almost like a like kind of reaction, you know? I'm not like that typewriter up there, like I've got this typewriter, I've got a typewriter on my shelf. Like it's not like that. But literally it was like this thing that always existed in the back of my mind where I was like, I've got this doll, what am I gonna do with it? What am I gonna do about it? I've never had another item that I felt that way about. So let's fast forward. You know, I got the doll, I don't know, late August, early September last year, and you know, sometimes I'm just generally curious about these items, and a lot of times nobody knows the history, the backstory on them. Like they have a general idea, like I bought this in California, or it's blank years old. And so I had kind of been talking to some people who work at the store, this and that, if they could ask the vendor, you know, do they know any history? Like, where did this thing come from? Do you know what I mean? And so nobody really knew. Nobody was really able to get the backstory, you know, and I'm sure like this is not everybody's like sole thought when they go into work and they're like, what's going on with that doll? So fast forward to, I think it was last November, and pretty much every year Uncommon has a like birthday celebration where they celebrate their X year of business being open, and I think last year was 27. And so they had a party, and it was like, you know, for family, friends, people who basically live in that store, such as myself, and all the vendors. Most of the vendors that have a spot in Uncommon were there that night. And so the very lovely couple, which once again, I bought so much stuff. They have really good items. They are amazing pickers. They're amazing at what they do. So they were at this party, and I had kind of been telling, people were like wanting me to tell this story since everybody was there. I swear I probably told this whole story like 5 or 6 times that night, and everybody once again was just like, ugh, like weird sounding stuff. So I finally get to the husband and wife who brought in the doll, who owned the doll, who sold the doll, who had the space. I forget where they told me they got it from, because I don't even think that they remembered. It was from the States. I think it was from maybe somewhere in the Midwest. I don't know. And they started telling me the story of this doll that I think they said it had been in the same family for at least 40 to 50 years. And it had been something that had sort of been passed around the different generations and like the different like siblings that had kids. And when the kids would become of like driving age, it's like something that they kept in the house and in the cars. This is gonna sound so weird. I hope I'm telling this clear enough that it makes any sense. So they were saying they would put the doll in the cars. So say your aunt and uncle, they got a kid. The kid is 15, 16 years old. They're getting their driving permit, whatever. They would put the doll in the car when the kids were learning to drive and when the kids would be tempted to sneak out, take the car. It's like they started keeping this doll in the car so that the kids would be like not want to take the car, which is just kind of like a weird personification to give a doll. And it wasn't like cutesy or embarrassing where you'd be like, oh, you know, my parents make me drive around with this Barney doll, so I'm not, you know, we keep like Barney the big purple dinosaur in the car so that the kids are too embarrassed to take it or whatever. This was like a life-sized person doll. And they said that they would keep it in the car as a way to like keep the kids from taking the car or driving the car too recklessly. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like giving the doll like monitoring powers of some sort, or just like putting the thought, and I guess they were saying it worked. Like the kids wouldn't take the car or drive the car crazy because the doll was in the car, which is just a little bit eerie. But they definitely acted like the family seemed like normal people. Like I don't think they kind of went into detail. I don't think that this was like a family that they knew. I don't think it was like extended family friend or anything like that. I think it was just they came across these people somewhere out there in the great blue yonder. They had this doll. And I don't know if they had this information when they got the doll, maybe, or maybe they were able to like somehow reach out when I was like asking questions about it. Cause I kind of like had come, wanting to know, like, was this couple going to be at the Uncommon Objects party? Was I going to be able to like ask them about this, get a little bit more information, and just like bounce it off of people and be like, does this sound totally ludicrous, or is there what? Just give me some more info. And so that's kind of where we left it. So then I'm like literally having all of this in my mind and still just like not knowing what I wanted to do with it, not knowing if I wanted to keep it. Is it better to keep it? Is it better to get rid of it? Yada yada. So keep the doll. We get into this here. So Steve, the owner from Uncommon, and one of my friends, Van, who works at Uncommon, came here to this house when we moved to set up this space with all of my glorious, friendly objects. And I was telling them about it again. And I was like, you guys, I've got this doll. And I literally also just didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know what to do with it. I literally was too scared to put it back in the car and drive it all the way back up to Austin. And I was a little scared to like give it to anybody and have them drive it back up to Austin, because I mean, they were literally so understanding about it. So they were like very sweet because they drove down, I don't know, a van or a larger car of some sort. They certainly could have taken the doll back. And so they were offering, they were like, hey, if you want to go to storage, if you want to get it, if you want to give it to us, we'll take it back. All that good kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, like I just couldn't give it up. It was like, it's so stupid saying this. It's like I didn't want to keep it, but I couldn't get rid of it. It was so, doesn't make any sense. So finally one day I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take care of it. I'm just gonna send this doll back. And literally I feel like he should have kept it and just kept it in the store and been like, come on down, look at this super scary doll. So finally I had somebody pack it up, seal it in a box, and I mailed it back to Austin so they get it back to the store. And literally somebody who worked there like took a picture and they're like, we got it. And I like literally, like, I'm not even joking, like deleted the text message thread. And I think like the next week I finally switched over and got a new phone. I was like, I don't want any more of this for sure. Sent it back. And it had been some months. I had just kind of like really out of sight, out of mind at that point. And I will just say, when I got rid of it, I strongly felt relief from having it not be part of my life anymore. And I don't know how they tagged it when they got back in the store, like certified haunted doll. I have no idea, because there are a lot of people that seek this stuff out. There are a lot of people who purchase these items. They want them. They want a piece of it. They want the activity in their lives. Cool. If that's what you want. She was in the store right before South by Southwest happened. South by Southwest happened. You get people from all over the world of all walks of life who come to Austin for South by Southwest, and a ton of different people who come to the store. And so the next time I went, I asked because I did not see her there, and literally for a while I feel like I kind of avoided going to the store because I just did not want to be in the same room, in the same building with this doll anymore. And so I waited an amount of time. So I was just like, I'm just gonna wait a period of time and then I'll go back. So I went in, I didn't see her. There's no missing her. Once again, very unique looking. So I went in and she wasn't there, and I was like, hey guys, what happened to the doll? And they finally told me they were like a couple who live in Australia, bought her and shipped her, took her back home to Australia after South by Southwest. And so that's where the end of the story is. She's now living in Australia. I have not heard any more about her. I do still think about her from time to time, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, are they having any experiences? Or maybe it was just a bad fit. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I do believe in stuff like that. I think that something can be problematic for one person for one reason or another. The energies just don't jive. It goes somewhere else, and it's like, okie dokie, it's fine. So maybe that's what happened. I don't know. I do think about her. I wonder how she's doing in Australia. I wonder what's going on. I wonder if the people who own her currently have any experiences with her. It would be interesting to know, but I don't want to ask. I don't want to know. It's like you want to know, but you don't want to know. It's one of those things. So this video I know has been incredibly long. Hopefully it was a little bit amusing to some of you guys, and now I feel exhausted. I feel wiped out, so I'm gonna go to sleep now. It's definitely been a long day full of crazy experiences. I hope when I watch this footage, when I edit it, there's nothing alarming that happens in it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed yesterday's story. I know that that was another little creepy tidbit. So I'll have links to everything down below. I will link you guys to yesterday's video, and I will link you guys to my paranormal playlist just in case you guys want to hear any of my other stories, or if you guys want to partake of a funny looking fetus bunny. I feel like definitely if you go far enough back on YouTube, I have terribly unblended eyeshadow and an even crazier fashion sense that I do now, but it's fun. It's fun. Some days I would like to wormhole back to whence I came. Enjoy the good old days. But definitely I feel like, and you guys can probably tell, I feel like I'm having a renaissance period of my life where I feel like now all of a sudden, like some things feel like they're getting back to normal. Not everything. I definitely feel like it's just gonna take time, distancing myself from the whole situation, and also just distancing myself from the feelings of the whole situation. And I will just say, after saying it, I do feel a little bit unburdened sharing this story. Maybe it's helpful to kind of get it off my chest and share these experiences. But thank you guys for listening. If you've made it this far, you deserve an award. And I'm sorry to those of you guys who truly love the paranormal stuff that I don't do more of it, that I don't do it more often, but I have my reasons. So thank you guys for hanging out today and for watching. I love y'all so much, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Tomorrow's video is gonna be a follow me around. I think it's gonna be a good one. I have it pre-filmed, so it's ready to go. Yay. Okay, I love you guys so much, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye!